I tell this story, no one ever agrees with me, but I swear when I think about it, I'm right. So when I first moved to Atlanta, I didn't know anybody, and I joined Bumble and matched with this guy, right? We had been talking, I think, for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I got a good vibe. So anyway, I had asked him if he knew any handy people because I had a lot of like furniture coming into my apartment, and I needed help putting it together. Although I did not know him well enough, I trusted him enough to come to my apartment. Now, in hindsight, that was probably a bad idea, but it is what I did. So before he came to my apartment, I had a conversation with him about payment because I didn't want for him to come and I didn't like him and then he felt like he got. So we talked about payment and I told him I'd give him a certain amount for him putting together like 2 pieces of furniture. Well, he put together a bed and a desk. So I don't remember exactly how much we agreed on, but I did say I was going to sell him the money. So when he came over like early this Saturday morning and he ended up like starting right away. He was definitely somebody that I could see myself talking to on the long haul. So it was cool. Like he was we were getting to know each other. We were talking about family. We were talking about life, all this kind of stuff. So around lunchtime, I ordered us something to eat. And as we were eating, we were like really talking, right? It was good. So when he was done, he kind of like chilled for like another couple of hours just to like rest. And we were really vibing and he was like, I would really like to see you again. And I was like, cool. So when he's ready to go, we go outside and he gives me a hug. And then he was like, okay, so I'm going to text you my Zelle information so you can send the payment. And I'm like, okay. In the moment, I was just a little shocked, but I didn't like let it on. I was just like, okay, just text it to me. So the next day I sent the Zelle payment and I was just like, oh, thank you for coming over. I really appreciate it. And then I didn't say anything else. And he was texting me and I did not respond. And he wasn't used to that because obviously we had been like texting all day long, you know, talking throughout the day. It was good at that time. But then I just decided that the fact of him asking me for money after like we had a good day, and I do understand that we agreed upon it, but I just thought it would be different since we were going to start dating. So finally he asked me like, what's up? And I was just like, honestly, I know we decided that I would pay you for that, but I really thought it was tacky that you actually asked me for the money afterwards and you took it. So I did end up cutting it off and we didn't talk again. But when I told my cousin about it, she was like, you guys agreed on it. Like, I don't understand what the problem was. And honestly, like, if I'm gonna date you and you know you put together some furniture for me, you're gonna charge me? I don't know, like, what do you guys think?
So as you all can see, this lady, she's wondering if she is wrong for her opinions, okay, and everything that she had. So to summarize it, and I'm just confused, okay, about this whole thing, but I'm gonna give my thoughts and opinions as I go and summarize all of this. So she met this guy on Bumble, okay? It's like a dating app, it's like a Tinder, okay, something like that. So she met this guy on Bumble. She said that she was talking to him between 2 to 3 weeks and she got a good vibe from him. So she was saying that, okay, I'm planning on moving into an apartment up in Atlanta or whatever, and I ran into a dilemma. I need somebody to help me put, you know, my furniture up, my desk, my beds, and all that kind of stuff. So she's like, okay, well, I was talking to this guy on Bumble for 2 to 3 weeks, so why not just go and ask him if he knows somebody? And he said, well, I could do it for you. And then she's like, okay, cool. All right. So she said that she needed some pieces put up in there. She said it was only about 2 pieces. She said it was a bed and a desk is what he ended up putting up for her. Okay. So she said that she does that and everything. And then she was like, you know, I don't want him thinking I'm trying to bamboozle him or get over. So I'm going to offer to pay him some undisclosed amount that she couldn't remember what it was. I'm assuming you were probably only going to pay him probably $10 worth, you know, an hour, or $5 worth an hour. That's what I'm going to assume. Girl. She ain't really paying him like that. Otherwise you already know, okay, this is how much I offered. Okay. Unless you do this often. All right. But she does that and everything. So now she's over here saying that, you know, now he arrives Saturday morning, early Saturday morning. And then now it's around lunchtime, which would be around 12-ish. She goes and buys some food for them. Okay. They talk about family, yada, yada, yada. And then at the end of it, he's like, okay, I'm going to go and send you my Zelle information and then you could go and pay me. Okay. So then she's over here talking about like, oh, I can't believe that he even asked. He had the audacity to ask me for payment, even though I agreed to pay him. So then she pays him and then he messages her and da-da-da, and then she's like, yeah, I think that's tacky. We ain't doing it anymore. And then she cuts off communication with him and then that's it. Okay. Now I wrote down some notes here about this whole story. So you agreed, so you needed to get some furniture put up. Okay, and you're like, okay, well, I need to get some furniture put up, and this dude said that he could go and help me put some furniture up, so I could go ahead and do that. Okay, you agreed to pay him some undisclosed amount, which probably was equivalent to $5-10 an hour, whatever, if that. And then you were like, okay, well, I could go ahead and do this. Okay, and then now you're over here saying like, oh, I can't believe he's asking me for payment, even though I said I was gonna go and pay him anyways. Okay. So then, yeah, she goes and cops an attitude, and then she does that. Girl, you said you're gonna pay him, so why not just pay him? Well, I mean, I could pay him, but I mean, that's just so tacky, So I'm just kind of confused. You had some other people who went and said, "What happened to chivalry? What happened to that? That is real tacky and all this other stuff." And I'm like, chivalry is like opening a door for somebody, help an old lady cross the street. Let me go help you with your groceries and stuff like that. You said you were talking to this dude between 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. That's not enough time, really. And you're on this app talking to this guy for 2 to 3 weeks. How many other guys are you talking to for 2 to 3 weeks that you probably already went through and they all said no? That we know of, you know what I mean? So you're over here saying like, essentially, this is what you want to do. You want to get free labor, but you want to put it under the guise of, oh, but you're getting to know me, right? I mean, that's what it is. And how much were you going to pay him? You don't disclose that amount. You say you went and got some food. What kind of food did you get? You went and got some, let's just say you got some Subway, okay? $8-10 for the sandwich, compared to what he probably should have been making. And if he got there early, let's just say these are all assumptions on this and in this, because she didn't provide enough information. So let's go and say that he got there at 8, and let's say it's 12. Okay, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, we're looking at around 4 hours, whatever, maybe 4 or 5 hours worth of time, depending on when he got there and what time it is, because you said around lunchtime. Okay, so you think for 4 or 5 hours at least, because it was lunchtime, you bought some food, and then that y'all continued going to work. Okay, so for at least 4 to 5 hours, you think his time is worth, let's say you got Subway, a $12 Subway sandwich? That's what I'm getting with this. I'm like, that's 4 or 5 hours is a pretty significant chunk of your day. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm supposed to just be like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. You don't, hey, I'll just take the sandwich, and you don't have to be true to your word. I mean, this is what you say you're going to do. Why are you not doing it? And I'm like this, he just met you. You know what I mean? I'm going to give some of my other experiences later, after I do this. So what also got me was the fact that she was saying like, what if I don't like him, then he's going to think I'm trying to get over something. So if you like him, you shouldn't have to pay. But if you don't like him, you're going to pay. Well, why not pay and keep true to your word on both ends of that? Why would you not do that if this is something, if you're supposed to be a woman to your word, who's true to your word, which it seems like you're not. And a good thing, in my opinion, he dodged a bullet. All right, because that means that you don't hold yourself accountable for anything that you're doing, because you said you were going to go and pay somebody. But then now push comes to shove and it's time to go and pay. And you're like, well, I mean, you see, he broke. You see, this is just because this is all she's telling us. But there's other information that she obviously isn't leaving out. And I'm assuming other kinds of insults as well. And it's somebody where she could just get over on. Okay, she's in a new area. Oh, I need somebody to help me move. Oh, let me go and talk to this guy, because it seemed like the first time y'all hung out. You said, okay, well, he didn't know my address. You could be like, okay, well, they could hang out and blah, blah, blah. I'm thinking this is the first time y'all hung out, because then you're talking about, oh, we're talking about family. We're talking about this. Well, why weren't y'all chatting about this earlier? You haven't talked for 2 to 3 weeks. So you didn't trust him enough you say you trust him enough and you were okay with it. But then what you said was, maybe I shouldn't have done that, which means that you really didn't trust him that much, but you needed a service done. Okay. When you get anything done, let's say you get some fiber in your house and, they got to run the wires and all that. I don't know this person, so I'm paying for the service. Just like you don't know this person. You don't know. You never even hung out with this person. So why would you then think that they should just be doing things for you for free just because you're you? Oh, but I had good conversation. Maybe the conversation wasn't all that. That's what I'm thinking too. Okay, because you're saying this and that, and I'm thinking the conversation probably wasn't all that anyways. And that's probably why he was like, yeah, this conversation kind of ain't really hitting it where it needs to be. Maybe I am going to take that payment. You know what I mean? But anyways, even regardless, if you say you're going to go and pay somebody X amount, why are you not being true to what it is that you said that you were going to do? You know, it doesn't matter if, oh, I found out he got, two left feet. Well, I guess I got to pay him that. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. I don't care if you found out he's a millionaire. If you said that you were going to pay him, why are you not paying him? But I actually want to bring into my own personal experiences. All right. And just the whole thing where, she's saying that's tacky and all that. And then people were talking about chivalry. And they're like, yo, what? That's why, chivalry's dead. Men don't want to do anything for free. And men don't want to do this and that. And that's the problem with men. And I have to disagree with that. I'm going to bring up an experience that I had. Okay. So it was my sophomore year of college and I needed to move into an apartment. Okay. Cause I was like, the dorm life, we ain't doing the dorm life. Okay. So it was me, my sister that were moving in there. My grandma and my granny, my mom and my brother were all with me. Okay. So we had a total of 6 people, but really it was me, my sister, partially my mom, and cause she was tired from driving, and my brother. So really it was around 3 people that were really going to be doing the moving. Okay. And I'm like, oh, this is going to take all day. So this dude I was talking to at the time or whatever, I went and asked him, and then he was like, cause he was still in the dorms, and he was like, oh, I mean, I can't get there that early, and oh, you're moving there. Meanwhile, he got there a day before I did. Okay. But he was like, oh, I can't, I gotta unpack my own stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm not even, okay, cool. So then I was telling my homeboy, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be moving, going into an apartment like I told you. Then he was like, oh, what day are you going to be there? I was like, oh, I'm supposed to be moving in, whatever the day was. I'm supposed to be moving in on this day, which was like a week before school started and stuff like that. Or maybe I think I was getting there a week before school started or a couple days before school started. And then he was like, okay, well, did you need help? And I was like, yeah. Because mind you, like, I was also kind of a little hesitant just because, not because of him, but it's because he never met my family or anything like that. You know what I mean? I've only had one friend really ever that's actually met my mom and stuff like that. And that's the person I'll be bringing up later. But with him, I was like, oh, well, I mean, are you sure? I was like, do you, then he was like, yeah, I got it. He's like, I could go. He's like, just let me know what time y'all gonna be there. Give me the address and everything. I was like, okay. So I arrived there and, I arrived there, make sure the key works and everything and all that kind of jazz. And he arrives about probably 10 to 15 minutes later. He pulls up, he walks up or whatever. And, my granny and my grandma, they're like, who is this dude? They didn't know who he was. And I didn't even think like, okay, let me go. So they didn't know who he was. And then I was like, oh, y'all, here's my friend, insert name and all this kind of stuff. And they were like, oh, okay. They're like, oh, okay. Like, okay. Get in the car. They're like, oh, he's cute. And this and that. I was like, yes, whatever. Okay. But anyways, but no, he went and offered help and he did it. He didn't expect any payment or anything like that. We were cool and everything and cool. Still cool to this day. We have established a relationship and we already know each other. Okay. But it is what it is, but no. So then I had another instance where I needed to get back to college because I was in my hometown and I needed to go to the airport and then, they had the little shuttles to drive me out. So I remember I was like, asked my mom and she was like, oh, I mean, that's early. So then I was like, she was like, why don't you go ask your friend? And I was like, well, I don't like bothering people, but I was like, fine. I was like, well, let me go and ask. I asked and then he was like, because he had to be at my house at like 5 a.m. So then he was like, I was like, hey, I mean, would you mind doing, I was like, no pressure. I was like, I'm just curious. Otherwise I'll just have to get an Uber or whatever. It's cool. And he was like, yeah. He's like, what time? And I was like, it's going to be early. I was like, you're going to have to be here at 5 o'clock. Guess what? He was there at 5 o'clock on the dot when I needed him. that next, I think it was like in 2 or 3 days, maybe it was 2 days, because I think I was there for a weekend or something, and he was there at 5 o'clock. Yeah. Okay. So let's not even trip. And I ended up paying him, I think I ended up paying him like $5 or $10. I was broke, so I think I ended up paying him like $5 or $10 or something like that for, I still gave something, but he was like, no, I was like, here it is. It's not a big deal, but there you go. People are doing something because you actually mean something to this person. You know what I mean? They're doing something out of the kindness of their heart, and they actually know, they know you. There's experiences with you. Okay. With this lady, this man didn't know her. Who are you? You know what I mean? And it seemed like from the information that y'all were talking about before, yeah, it didn't seem like y'all even really were talking about that much to know each other, because you're talking about family and all this. Well, why weren't y'all talking about that kind of stuff earlier? It's because y'all didn't know each other like that. And the guy I'm currently with now, okay, my tire right rear had a hole in it, okay, and I was constantly pumping it every day. I did for a week, and I was like, okay, something gotta give. Go to Discount Tire. He goes there with me, helps me with that whole little thing and all that. My windshield wipers, they were doing a little buffering thing. I needed new wipers. And then he was like, yo, I go and pay for this. And he said, I got it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Once again, it's different types of relationships that you have with people. Okay? It's just different types of relationships. And I've known all of these people for years already. Okay? One I've known for, goodness gracious, one I've known for 12 years now? It's been about 12 years now. You know what I mean? So it's different kinds of relationships that you have. You can't be expecting someone to be treating you like how these people would treat me in particular instances, and you've only known the person for 2 or 3 weeks. Well, why would I don't even know. And you could be talking to somebody else on Bumble. You could be messing around with other people on Bumble or wherever in your own personal life. So why should I not have to be like, well, I'll do everything for you for free, and meanwhile you over here messing with other people. Okay, so that's where I was with all of this. I'm like, no, girl, you haven't built a relationship. You've only known this person for 2 to 3 weeks. Now you have some dudes that'll be like, oh, I'll do it for free, it's fine. But he's probably thinking, one, this conversation may not have been as great on here. And let's keep it real, on dating sites, most of the people that are on dating sites are men as opposed to women. Okay, it just is what it is. Okay, so with that being said, if there's more men on there, a man getting attention, from somebody, swiped, match with someone, okay, I may be more inclined to help you out. But that's not we shouldn't be shaming people, being like, well, you broke if you need to get paid for this and all that, and you don't know. Well, girl, I don't know you. Okay, the conversation probably wasn't all that anyways, and when we were there, it probably still was not all that. Okay, and do you know what their financial stuff, that could have been gas money. He really wanted to hang out with you. He really wanted to meet you right now. And he's like, you know what? Well, let me go ahead and let me talk to this woman. Let me go ahead and do all this. And you over here being like, well, that was tacky because, why would you want to accept the money that I offered to give you in the first place? Girl, no. This is the problem with a lot of women today, y'all. This is really the problem, because you have a lot of women who think that they're just entitled to any and everything. The scenarios that I mentioned, that's why I mentioned them. I've known all these people for years, okay? And even before, like when I needed to learn how to drive, for example, and I was like, well, I could go and pay it. No, you ain't got to do that. Why? Because the vibe was right as well. And it just depends on the kind of person. You know what I mean? If someone needs the money, because I'm sure if I would have been like, because they were like, oh, well, you ain't got to pay me. I was like, okay, cool. But if I was the person that was like, well, I'll pay you. No, you sure? Well, you could give me something, because I'll take the money, I'll take it regardless. I'm the kind of person where, if you say, well, you should, sure. If you want to pay me, knock yourself out. You know what I mean? I'm not going to deny coin. Okay. But at the end of the day, that's also why I'm also thinking maybe he wasn't really that into you anyways. But regardless if he was into you or not into you, you said, okay, I'm going to do XYZ, and now you're over here backpedaling and you're backing out like, oh, well, You see, this is the problem with broke dudes. They think, or this is the problem with men. They don't want to help a woman out, and I just can't believe, girl. If you say you're gonna do something, do it. As simple as that. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you've already shown him that you could say something, but you don't actually mean it. Okay, that's what that means to me. Where I would be like, oh, man, you getting all this defensive and stingy because I'm over here asking for something that you said you're gonna give me anyways. But let me know what y'all think about her story. Do you think that she was right in what she was saying? Do you think that she was wrong in what she was saying? And it would be helpful to know, what is your reasonings behind it, but let me know down below. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and also leave a comment down below. I would also appreciate it if you could go on ebay.com, simply type in Latrice Limited, click on shops, and then you can support me right over there. I have a wide variety of items over there. I have many of my own personal Latrice Limited items, which has candles, bath bombs, soaps, essential oil blends, lingerie robes. I have a whole bunch of stuff. I even have comic books on there, men's ties, action figures, a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Definitely support me on there. Like I said, do not forget to like and subscribe, and thank you.